I saw this very trending video on the Nigeria internet space, and a lot of things started running through my mind. According to a wise man from the African continent, Nelson Mandela, he once made it very clear that education is the most powerful weapon that one can use to change the world. But after seeing this very video, I began or started to think, probably there is something else responsible for the actions of this student, just maybe from the altar of religion. And immediately I remembered one of the wise sayings of the Voltaire that says that anyone or group of people that can make you believe in absurdities, that such a person or such a group can equally convince you to committing atrocities. These are students from the northern part of Nigeria, as the news has it. You know, from the extractions of Islamic movement, the Shia group. These students, as you can see, they are clearly stepping on Israeli and the United States of American flag in protest over the war going on in Iran. Obviously, they are pro-Iranians. Well, at the end of this video, we shall be discussing a few more into this, because a similar incident took place in Iran, not just today, even in the years before now, where students were laid before them American and Israeli flags, and they intentionally and clearly stepped away from walking on top of Israeli and the United States of American flag. Well, like I said from the introduction, these are possibly primary, secondary school students. I'm not sure if they are university students, but I stand to be corrected. Like I said, a similar incident took place in Iran between 2020, 2023, and even in recent time, where Israeli and the United States of American flag were laid bare before them. And precisely it happened at Besheti University. Meanwhile, Besheti University is one of the top-ranking universities in Iran. They have also Besheti University of Medical Sciences. You know, it is known for research. And the students clearly walked away, decided they were not going to work on Israeli and the United States of American flag, all the way in Iran. Now, you may begin to ask, what is actually the difference? Why did that happen? First of all, I will start by saying this. We do know that in the northern part of Nigeria, that is where the poverty capital of the nation sits in. It has been over the years opined by scholars and many wise men. You know, in that wise saying, it was maintained categorically that when you deny a child education, or when you deny a people education, that you do not only deny them a future, but you also endanger the society where those children live in, or where that child lives in. And that is a typical scenario that is playing out in the northern part of Nigeria, because the political class succeeded in enslaving a larger majority of our northern brothers and sisters through religion. Yes. Now, the point you must see here clearly is that the students in Iran, they were convinced deep down in their heart. They showcased that we are not happy with the government of the day, because that was almost by compulsion. The ruling class wanted them to step on Israeli and American flag as a way of shaming those countries. But they were convinced individually in themselves that this is not the right thing to do. We are not ready for these shenanigans. We don't want to be part of this. Meanwhile, your government is, you know, anything as bad as you can describe. So why are you trying to convince us otherwise? They showed non-solidarity with the government of the day by walking away and not walking on American flags. Now, that is what education does for you. These persons, you know, they have achieved some level of education that gave them the conviction individually to do things out of their own personal conviction, by clear empirical assessment of information, not by hearsay, not because I am being compelled, not because my religion told me to do so. They were convinced individually by themselves that this is not the right thing to do. Even if I may not support America, but working on American flag or Israeli flag does not make sense. That is what education does for you. Education gives you a sound mind to make objective decisions based on fact and figures, not with any religious affiliation. But in Nigeria, specifically in the northern part of Nigeria, and also some part of the western part of Nigeria, is a different ball game. It is all about religion. And little wonder Blaise Pascal of the blessed memory made it very clear that no one actually commits evil more completely, more happily than the person that does evil from the religious conviction. Religion affiliation convinces us to do a certain degree of evil, especially when you have drifted into extremism. Yes, when you become a religious fanatic, religious belief system can convince you to do the undoable. Just with the mindset of the terrorist group we have in Nigeria, that have that mindset that when they die in jihad, when they fight trying to make convert, when they fight in the name of the Almighty Allah, when they do this and they do that, that at the end of their lifetime, that they will be rewarded with 72 virgins. That is a religious belief. It sounds really very convincing for those that believe. Meanwhile, this video is not to filter or to talk down on any religion. I'm just citing an example. After all, we still have beautiful, good-hearted men and women from Islam or Muslim extraction. But I'm trying to give you a scenario when extremism is in action. Now, this student may not have done those things they did in that video by working on America and Israeli flags by their own personal conviction. Possibly they've not attained that level of education that grants them, freedom, that emancipated them from religious conviction and ethnic colorations and all of that. So, as you can see, somebody may have either induced them, give them some quotations from their religious belief that when you don't do this, that you are working against God, that you are working against your belief and all of that. And they begin to do it. And that is exactly where the problem lies. Yes, because this is how it begins. I am not in any way trying to say that everybody from Nigeria will support Israel, or everybody in Nigeria will support Iran, or everybody in Nigeria will support the United States of America. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm trying to point out what the fundamental issues we have in Nigeria. A lot of people have been denied adequate education. So a future has been denied. Sound judgment has been denied. The society is further endangered by that singular act. Hence, many of the crises you see erupting in Nigeria. Nigeria is not the only Islamic country in the world. We have a Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have Qatar. We have a United Arab Emirates. We have Jordan. And some others that are very peaceful. Sometimes you may even begin to wonder whether you live in an Islamic nation in comparison with what is happening in Nigeria, where extremism and fanaticism is the order of the day. Before you know it, they don't chop your hand, come out, which is very crazy. So, the point here is that people must begin to understand that as you grow, decision making becomes an integral part of your daily lives, such that you are faced with situations that warrant you to make sound judgment in order to be fair to yourself and then to be fair to mankind and fair to God as well, whichever way you want to explain it. But let your decisions not always be based on religious affiliations. This is what has continued to destroy the world up to today. That is why the world at large continues to fight terrorism, especially countries like Nigeria. It is pathetic, and I sincerely hope that this student will grow up better, become more educated, and begin to understand that in life, there are so many things we do ignorantly, not because they are worth it, but because we have been enslaved in one religious belief or the other that makes us to protect our religious belief than protecting mankind. This has often played out in the Nigerian polity many a times, where people choose to protect their religion than protecting mankind. Well, at this point, like I said, I sincerely hope that the war in Israel, in Iran, dies down as soon as possible, because whether you like it or not, this is lives that are being lost on a daily basis. And also, Asare Dokubo should also understand that what is happening in Iran today, no be those small rockets where they carry for inside creek. That the simple deployment of American B-52 Stratofortress, inside the creek, will just set the whole creek on fire. But that is by the way.
I just watched a very disturbing video in one of those, I think it was staged in one of those Muslim majority states in the north, the northern part of Nigeria. And school kids, obviously they were just like middle school or high school kids, were meant to line up and march on American flags, which was laid on the ground, and Israeli flags. You see, I considered that disturbing because if you see the age of those kids, they are minors, and that goes forth to show that this is a kind of orientation these guys give these kids, and then they grow up with that kind of orientation, an orientation that is built on hatred, on evil. Something is happening in the Middle East, and you're staging a protest here, marching American flags, marching Israeli flags, and come to look at it. Look, the problem in the Middle East is a problem between Israel, America, and strictly Iran. Iran have vowed to wipe out Israel from the surface of the earth, have vowed to also fight America, and they are fighting back. So Israel is just fighting a war to simply exist. Iran has always been a secular state, long before 1979. In short, thousands of years ago, Iran, the Persians, were some of the best friends of the Jews. If you read your Bible in the book of Ezra, it was actually King Cyrus, the Persian king, who helped to rebuild Jerusalem and to ask to help the Jews go back to the land of Israel, Judea, when they were dispersed. So they have been some of the best friends. But when the Ayatollah came, and by the way, this Ayatollah, I'm talking of the first Ayatollah, Ayatollah Khomeini. The current one who was killed recently by Americans, by Israelis, is Ayatollah Khamenei, his successor. So Khomeini started the Islamic Revolution in 1979 when he established the Islamic State in Iran. Iran has always been secular, always been secular. Christians living side by side with Muslim, with Zoroastrianism. That's the main religion, by the way, of Iran long ago. And even the atheists, non-believers. But when these guys took over, and where were they coming from? Ayatollah was out of Iran for the last 20 years before he staged a revolution in 1979. He was in Turkey, but because of his extremism, Turkey banned him. Turkey was a Muslim country. And he was in another Muslim country, Iraq. And Saddam Hussein expelled him. And he went to a Western country, the same Western countries that they love to hate. He was in France. It was from France that he staged that revolution, and on his first day landing in Tehran, he came with Air France. You see, but upon assumption of office, he established Sharia as the theocracy of Sharia as the principal policy of the state and the principal religion of the state. That's where all these problems come from. Why can't you live in peace? Why can't you detach religion from the state and practice religion as something very private? And so with that, he started the policy of the total obliteration of Israel. You just establish a government in your country, and the next thing was that you place Israel as a country unfit to exist, that you have to destroy Israel. And the next thing, he declared all Western countries and all Christians as oppressors that need to be fought everywhere. And he started exporting terrorism. Sponsored Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and many other terrorist organizations in the world to fight Christians, to fight Western nations, to fight Jews, to fight Israel. What kind of man is that? What kind of ideology is that? And to that extent, they even put up a digital clock in Iran that was counting down to the day that Israel will be. They were like to count down 25 years. The digital clock, because they say in 25 years they'll wipe out Israel. And it was counting down. Very big clock in Tehran. And by the way, let me tell you, majority of Iranians are happy with the United States and Israel for what is happening. I have more than 50 Iranian friends. In this my town here, I have more than 10 Iranian friends. One of my best family friends is Iranian. My son's classmate, his best friend in his class, Arash, Reza. They are so happy. They've been celebrating. And then you cry more than the bereaved. You in Nigeria, you're just staging protests everywhere. In Pakistan, they were staging violent protests. In many parts of the Muslim world. Outside the Middle East. But look at the Middle East. They are also fighting this menace of the Ayatollahs. Many of the Sunni countries in the Middle East, UAE, Saudi, Oman, Jordan. But in Nigeria, these guys are just creating nuisance everywhere that they are protesting. I'm a Catholic. In 1981, May precisely, on the anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady of Fatima, a certain Muslim guy from Turkey, Mehmet Ali Akka, shot at Pope John Paul, the Pope at that point, one of the most famous popes in the Catholic Church. He wanted to kill Pope. He shot at the Pope. You know? Attempted murder. They wanted to kill the Pope. But what happened? How was the response of Christians all over the world and the Catholic Church? Nothing. Rather, in the Pope's own country of Poland, they just went on night vigil, reciting the rosary throughout while he was in the hospital recovering. Nobody protested. In Italy and many other places, people just staged a walk, a silent walk with candles on cassock, white cassock. Nobody. That's the proper definition of religion of peace. The Pope himself forgave that guy. The guy was jailed by the Italian authorities. And through that forgiveness, the Pope visited him in the hospital. And through that act of the Pope and the act of Christians all over the world, the guy was begging that he wants to be a priest. He wants to be a Catholic. I don't know what has happened to him, but the guy is free. I think he's back to Turkey. It speaks in how you act, in your religion. You don't just go marching people's flags, destroying people's flags, because someone who deserved to be killed was killed in Iraq. Yes, he deserved to be killed because he was threatening all these guys. He has been sponsoring groups, terror groups, to destroy Israel. So what Israel is fighting is simply fighting for survival. And I've always said that survival, the war to survive, to exist, is fought differently. This guy cannot stand Israel, cannot stand the United States. He has established Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini, and succeeded by Ayatollah Khamenei, the guy who was just killed recently. And they are saying they want to spread jihad all over the world. They want to spread jihad, but guess what? In order to spread that jihad, they are requiring weapons from a Christian nation of Russia so that they can fight jihad and spread Islam. They are requiring weapons at every time from the Buddhist nation, the Tao nation of China. That's where they get their arms. Russia, Christian nation, China, Buddhist nation, to fight jihad, to promote Islam all over the world. And then the third other nation, the number 3, is the atheist nation that do not have even religion at all, that worship idols. North Korea. They are requiring weapons at every time from North Korea to fight jihad. What kind of nonsense is that? You are not strong. You are getting your weapons from people who do not share your ideology, who do not share your faith, to fight for the promotion of your faith. And a lot of people are not seeing the nuisance, the nonsense in this kind of mentality. What does it take for us to be peaceful people? Let everybody practice his religion in peace, as a private thing. What does it take? So some of us are angry with this because a lot of people begin to question us. Why are we talking about Iran, the war in Iran? Yeah, we are talking about it because Iran has been exporting terrorism all over the world. They are one of the reasons why terrorism is in Nigeria. They've been promoting it. They've sent arms. They've sent finances. There are a lot of several occasions that Iranian arms have been confiscated at the port in Lagos, and Turkish arms. You know, so it concerns all of us. They need to be demolished. Let people practice their religion in peace. Persians are celebrated all over the world. Iranians are celebrated. Then we have some kind of nonsense set of people in Nigeria just protesting these burning flags, American flag, burning Israeli flag. We can do better, guys. It's so fortunate. It's so fortunate that we're sharing the same entity, geographical entity, with those kind of evil thinking creatures.
Good day to our viewers all over the world and welcome back to Local Journal. We can see how these northern Nigerians are behaving. You can see the way these guys are acting. You can see that these guys are trained and like indoctrinated to hate on Christians, to hate on Christian nations, especially America, and also to hate on Israel. Basically because they feel these two nations are threats to Islam. Honestly, I don't know what these guys are thinking at all. They prioritize religion over every other thing, and that is the reason why that region it's not developing. That is the reason why that region is going backward on daily basis, because the Ayatollah of Iran was killed, was taken away. You guys still the need to desecrate America's flag and to insult America and to stage one kind of useless protest all in the support of Iran. I don't understand how this has become the problem of northern Nigeria. We have myriads of problems. We have plethora of problems in Nigeria. These guys have never one day come out to stage any protest or to challenge the government so that the government can do what is right. But these guys are quick to pledge their allegiance to another country that is far away from Nigeria, that is far away from Africa, just because of their disdain, just because of their hatred, just because of their dislike for Christianity and for Christian nation. Honestly, this is the thing. I know it's only a little fractions of Nigerians that that believe in this whole idea of supporting Iran. Of course, we know that a vast majority of Northerners support this ideology because they believe Iran will project, and Iran will is the beacon of Islam in the world, and as such they are supposed to support it, and they are supposed to support Iran regardless of whether Iran is right or wrong. And this is where the problem is, because of course the whole problem that we're having in Nigeria, and especially the terror network that is terrorizing the world, comes from that place. It's linked, is somehow linked to Iran. Yet these people know this. Instead of coming out to condemn them, they rather support them. This is where the problem is coming from, and this is where the major problem is, because we have so many insecurity problems today ravaging the northern part of the country. These guys are not seeing anything bad about it, because they see that any death that occurs or any chaos that occurs that leads to anybody being unalive is just the work of God, and that is how God wants it. This is their belief system, and that is how they believe, and that's the reason why this whole insecurity is not going to stop. And they also believe in the fact that if you wage war using jihad, and you die or something happens to you in the process, that there will be 72 virgins waiting for you in eternity, and that you'll have access to them and all of that. This whole ideology and indoctrination is causing a whole lot of problem in Nigeria, especially in the north, and this whole thing is beginning to go into is beginning to find an inroad into the southwestern part of the country. The southwestern part of the country that comprises of majorly the Yorubas, who are deemed very educated, are also falling for this whole game. They are also falling for this whole extremist ideology, and they are also in support of these people, because the videos of these people protesting in Lagos some few days ago in support of their Iranian leader as well. And there are also videos of all these people from the southwestern part of the country doing everything possible to support Iran. They are also even saying that if it's possible, they can go there to Iran to go and fight for Iran and all of that. So to what end is all this nonsense? guys, how many times have these people done anything to contribute to the betterment of this country? The only thing they think about in this country is religion. If you think about people who are doing the most to take this country to the next level and to put this country on the world map, they are the southern part of the country. The southern part of the country produces, that's literally all the technocrats who are piloting the affairs of this nation and who are doing everything possible to ensure that this country goes to another level. The major people that have destroyed this country, that have ruled over this country, are majorly this northerner, and these guys, they don't have any good reform to bring into this country. Instead of rather than religion, the only thing that concerns them in Nigeria is Sharia, how to wage jihad on Nigeria and to ensure Nigeria is turned into an Islamic state, just like it was done in Iran. That is just their plan. That is just their only plan. They are not doing anything to ensure that this country grows at all, and that's the reason why you can see this kind of attitude happening even at a tender age. And before you see these students that we're seeing in the video marching or standing on the Israeli or the American flag, it's not as if they did that on purpose or did that on their own. It was not by their making alone. Somebody had engineered that, and somebody had told them to go and do that before they did that, because those kids will not just wake up and say they want to print American and Israeli flag and stand and march on them. No, they won't do that. This is the handiwork of these religious extremists and these clerics that are in the north, and it's high time the government wakes up and do something about this whole thing, because if something is not done about this thing, of course it's going to foment problem for this country, and when that time comes, I'm very sure it might be too late. But I just hope that it's not too late, because if the government is very serious about stuff like this, it should have looked for a way to probe this issue and bring those people who are responsible for this whole thing to justice, so that it won't bring a problem on Nigeria. This is my opinion. Drop what you think about this in the comment section, and if today is your first time to visit our channel, please kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel.